Hey dorks, just a quick message reminding you to head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast and give us a follow. We live stream when we record our new podcast episodes, and we're live streaming video game sessions on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We're playing super rad stuff like Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Jackbox games, and Tabletop Simulator. Come hang out and play along with us. That's twitch.tv/mindgappodcast.
Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
We're glad you're here. Justin
Has
a question for you all. Justin, go ahead and ask.
Why have you not watched Ted Lasso yet?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking
Jared,
to the world?
specifically.
Okay, Jared. Okay, this one's for you. Jared, feel free to respond in due time.
We're going to sit here until the stream catches up and Jared answers.
That's right. And to the listeners, I want you all to think about why Jared hasn't watched Ted Lasso. So, there we go.
And another question, follow-up. Do you or do you not have a pet emu, Jared?
These are questions.
And why?
Or why not?
To either answer.
Either one. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin, how are you, buddy? How's life?
I'm good, buddy. Do I really have a question I was supposed to ask?
I was just going to see if you're going to do the Ted Lasso bit, and you kind of did. So it was great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we're just going to go back into it. But
Hey, it was good. It was improv. You said yes and you just rolled with it with confidence. I believed it, you know?
Today's one of those days where so much has happened that I was like, there's a good chance that we talked about something in our production meeting that I was supposed to lead off with that I just forgot.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I get it. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in our lives.
I got real nervous. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good, man. How was your week?
You know, the week thus far, 2 days has been good.
Nice.
Weekend was fantastic. We had our 11-year anniversary on Saturday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we headed back up to Grand Rapids to kind of peruse around and look at some things up there and kind of get a feeling to see if that's the way that we're going to go as far as buying a house. And I got to tell you, Grand Rapids, pretty fucking stellar.
That's pretty cool.
I get why Austin Reno lives there now.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Jared said, motherfuckers, you didn't wait. Liars. I'm hurt.
Jared, the only thing this show is one pile of lies.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. What I meant to say is that's awesome, and I'm glad that. Congrats on the anniversary. I'm glad you all got to spend time up in the.
Are you doing okay, Doug?
The Slap Rapids, things are good,
Yeah. How was your week? How was having Noah on again?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, like Noah, Hannah, and Alpaca all came by to visit.
He wasn't on the podcast. I was on the podcast.
That's right.
He visited. That's what happened.
We had our first mini Mind Gap get together in real life, and it was awesome. It was so cool. Noah, his fiance, Hannah, and Alpaca all stopped by, and they stayed at my house. We made a lot of really great food. I made some pulled pork. Noah made some Nashville hot chicken, which was delicious.
Sounds amazing.
I made some chocolate cookies. I made some Cubano sandwiches. I made some monkey bread. I mean, it was a delicious good time. It was so much fun. We played a bunch of board games, some of them old, some of them new. We had ourselves a fire in the backyard. Noah brought his dog Spaghetti, and Loki and Spaghetti got along famously, so much so. Also, they basically looked like they were, at the very least,
twins.
Kissing cousins or something. I mean, they were so close. They look so much alike. I had a hard time telling the difference between them.
Picture of those two, and it was the only way that I was able to is in the shot. Loki's got white paws and a white chest, and you could just see the white tuft of hair on her chest, and that was it. Like outside of that, like they look identical to the angle of the ears and everything.
Yeah, I had to look at their tails because Loki has a very curly tail and
Gotcha.
Spaghetti doesn't.
Yeah.
And it was great, man. It was so much fun to hang out with them and see them in real life. It was great.
I also heard that Natalie trounced everyone in Uno.
Natalie held up her end of the bargain. She was talking, I don't know, she unknowingly was talking a lot of trash, which I relayed to everyone else. Which is she's like, I can't wait for our friends to get here so I can kick their butts in Uno. And she laid down the hammer on several rounds. She won several rounds. She was definitely pretty competitive. And I told everyone as soon as they sat down to play the first game, I go, don't go easy on her because she's not going to go easy on you. So bring the pain.
The thing is, if I heard that, I would not, like, I'd be like, okay, Doug, sure. And I would totally go easy until that first game was over. And I'd be like, oh, okay. We're doing prison rules. I got it.
What I love about her too is she's not a boastful winner either. She just does it, and then it's just like she's cool with it, you know. She doesn't go like ha ha. But then we were playing one of the house rules, which is if you have the exact same number and color as the card that's been played, you can jump out of turn and play your card. It was a moment where there were two other people that had Uno, and Natalie had Uno. Someone played a card, she played out of turn and won the game. Like I was just so impressed with her reflexes to be able to acknowledge and play it. I was like, this girl is leveling up, and I'm fucking proud of her, man.
That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I also love how she said, I can't wait for our friends to get here.
Yeah.
That she's like, so like that. There's something just wholesome about that. That she's just
the
ready
whole
to
week,
accept people in. Yeah.
The whole
come on
week,
into my house.
The whole week, she was like, I pick her up from school. I'm like, hey, how was school? She goes, I'll tell you in a second. When we're done, can we talk about when our friends are going to get here? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know what more you want to talk about, but she's like, maybe we could go to the playground and can I show them around the house when they get here? I was like, yeah. I mean, she just had all these ideas and things. Can we take them to the pond? I'm like, okay, first of all, when you are bringing people to your house, you're a host, and hosting means you have to allow the guests to decide what they want to do. Like we can offer suggestions, but ultimately it's their decision. So I'm like, you may want to do these things. We may not necessarily do these things. So please keep that in mind. But she was super pumped, and
it's fucking great that you can have those conversations with her, though.
Dude,
you know what I mean? Like she's at that point now where, and probably leaps and bounds ahead of some other kids, because for so many years leading up to this, you have talked to her in a very logical way, and you've helped her to understand, hey, look, this is the way of the world.
Yeah. And for the record, Noah and Alpaca and Hannah didn't know this, but Natalie had a very hard time once they left, just curled up in a ball, crying.
She
missed them. She's like, I wish our friends didn't have to leave. I wish they lived near us. And I was like,
little miss drama. I love it.
I was like, hey, I know, I understand. I miss him too. It was good to see him, man. Zinni says, oh man, I can only think of how Nat would suggest stuff with me. I do just about anything. Natalie was like coloring pictures and giving it to them like while they were playing games. Like she was so just cool. Doing the best. But that reminds me too, like you're talking about conversations.
Yeah.
Two three amazing things, Natalie. I was having a shitty morning, just a rough start to the day. Things weren't going right. I lost my AirPods. I couldn't find them. My fucking blender got stuck while I was trying to blend it. It made me leave later.
Wait, you were blending your AirPods?
I was blending my AirPods, and
that's not recommended.
Just didn't work.
Yeah.
And Loki fortunately had diarrhea, but she let me know, so I got her out in time. But things were just not running smoothly. I was trying to go and lift, and then I had to take Natalie and the dog to daycare. So it was a stressful morning. Things weren't working out. And, I turned to Natalie. I was like, you know what? Natalie's not bound by practical Doug standards, so maybe I'll just ask her for help. I go, hey, Natalie, I lost my AirPods. I go, do you know what they look like? She goes, yeah. I go, I can't find them. I don't know where they are. So I want to tell you, so if you see them, just let me know. And she goes, Dad, you know what might be helpful? If you can think about where you saw them last. And I was like, Jesus, this fucking 5.5-year-old is very smart. And I go, you know what? You're right. I'll tell you what I was doing. I remembered a lot of it. It just, Practical Doug's like, we were here. I don't know. She goes, okay. 2 seconds later, she found him. She was like,
seriously?
She immediately just, because she's not bound by logic, she just starts looking. And she found it in an illogical place where I put it, which was the bathroom. For some reason, I had brought them into the bathroom and I left them there.
Interesting.
And she found them immediately. And I was like,
she's untethered by the laws of practicality.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it was that's why I was like, this was a good idea to tell her, because she will just start looking. And so I won't be like, don't look there. She'll be like, oh, whatever, I'm going to look everywhere. So that was awesome. So that immediately brought me joy. I was like, cool.
Very cool.
So I was taking her to school, and she goes, and I'm assuming you've seen the most recent What If episode?
Was it the one with Vision?
Yes.
Yes.
So spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen it yet. She goes, Dad, that guy with the yellow crystal in his head, what's his name? I go, Vision. She goes, yeah. Why is Vision trying to destroy the world when his mission is peace? And I was just like, what a wonderful question, Natalie.
Doug pulls the car over and just starts weeping.
I was like, what a great question. I was like, do you remember in Age of Ultron? And I started like breaking down like the original timeline and then what happened and breaking it down. And I was like, and in his mind, the only way to have peace is to just have robots and everything. And she paused and she goes, that guy with the yellow or with the green gem. I go, Doctor Strange. She goes, yeah. Why did he keep trying to bring his wife back when she was already dead? I was like, are we dipping into time travel right now? Do I have to have a time travel conversation with my child right now? And I was like,
oh boy.
I was like, well, you see, he didn't want to deal with the fact that this person had died and he had the power to turn back time. But what he doesn't realize is some things in this universe, time can't change. It was whatever. And it was so goddamn amazing. Like her just asking these questions.
I just love to imagine that Natalie missed school today. And just like you guys spent the day, you got ice cream, you went to the park, you sat down, you broke it out, you found a giant whiteboard and drew timelines on it. And you had that experience all over again.
It was a great moment because I told her, I kept telling her, I go, listen, these are really good questions. And I love that you're curious. I was like, please keep asking questions. And then she goes, Dad, when our pets die, do we have funerals for them? I was like, another bang up question. Because on the way to the doctor a week or so ago, we saw a funeral procession on the drive. And so we got to have a discussion about what a funeral is. And so she just got in her mind about what about our animals? I was like, people do different things for their animals. And it was just, it was such a fun thing, her asking these questions and just being like, and I just told her when I dropped her off at school, I go, you made my morning great. Thank you. I go, I love talking to you. Please keep asking questions because I always want to have these conversations with you. So please keep that up.
Meant the world to her too.
Probably not, but you know, I try to have these really good sentimental moments where I'll be like, Natalie, you are the absolute best. And she'll just kind of be turning off and she'll be like, look at my new toy. And I'm like, I'm trying to tell you something from the heart. Please just listen. And she's like, I'm like, you know this, I love you, right? She goes, yeah. Loki wants to go outside. Can I go outside with her? I'm like, sure, go on, you know.
So close.
Yeah.
You have the moments, but you can't have a retrospective on the moments quite yet.
Exactly.
Quite yet. Yeah.
And then she'll say
that will come in due time.
And then today she's like, Dad, I can't wait to, you know, grow up and get bigger. I was like, oh yeah, why do you want to do that? She goes, so I can do all sorts of things like drive and have a kid. And I was like, okay, let's just everyone just cool out.
Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. I go, yeah, you know, I'm kind of, you know, there's certain things I'm looking forward to you being able to do. I go, but I don't want you to grow up too fast. I was like, you driving kind of scares me, but it'll be pretty practically nice when you can do that for yourself and you can go explore. And I go, you know, I'll be happy for you. But I'll be sad at the same time. And she's like, yeah, because you and Mom will be dead. I was like,
what?
I was like, well, I mean, yeah, we're going to die at some point, but that's not what I mean by I'll be sad.
Well, here's the thing. What if she's kind of like an oracle and is calling it out, man? I'm just saying, you better watch your backs there. Yeah,
it was just very funny. She's like, yeah, because you'll be dead.
Also, too, for a 5.5-year-old, like I love that she grasped the concept of death, but is still detached enough from it that thought doesn't just bring her to her knees.
Yeah.
Because like if you or I were to have a conversation about, you know, X, Y, and Z, X number of years later, our parents are dead. Like you start thinking about your parents going, and there's a lot of emotion that gets tied up into that, good, bad, ugly, whatever. But I love the fact that she has the concept of death, but has just enough detachment from the concept to not really let it cripple her. It's so amazing.
What I like about it is we've been able to have these conversations about these things, because I don't shy away from it, you know, because like the funeral, I'm like, well, this is a great opportunity to talk about death, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, people die, you know, some people are old, some people get sick, some people die young. Like, people, you know, essentially deal with this in their own ways. I went through like funeral and burying people and cremating people. Like, we talked about all the different ways that people can do that. Yeah. And, you know, it was just a very logical, calm conversation. I wasn't like, when you close your eyes, sometimes the whisper winds will come and give you a kiss on the cheek and take you away to a land of fairies and chocolate milk rivers where you'll live out your days in happiness.
The anti-stork comes.
Yeah, the anti-stork. He's a black stork.
Seagull?
A black stork
comes.
A black stork in a Batman mask comes and says, "Come with me." It takes you.
It's your time.
And then drives away in a Batmobile for some reason. He flies in, but drives away in a Batmobile.
Right. He flies in, but then my car's around the corner.
Hold on. Alfred, bring the Batmobile.
Why'd you say that name? Would you want to be cremated or buried?
Cremated.
How do you want to? Really?
Cremated.
Okay.
Don't burials to me. And this is it. Practical Doug. Why am I taking up space as a dead person? Why am I taking up space? Why are you paying for something that you're going to bury me in the ground in? Paying for a plot of land, paying for no. Fucking light me up, keep my ashes, or don't. I'll be dead. I don't care. Just
whatever makes you happy.
Like, I just want, I don't want to take up space. That's kind of me in a nutshell. I don't want to be in anyone's way. I don't want to take up space. I don't want to be bothering anybody.
He died how he lived.
Exactly. Try not to take up space.
Trying not to take up space.
Yeah.
That is probably the most poetic way that you could go, Doug.
Exactly. It's just like, just keep it simple, keep it practical, keep it low cost, man. Like, the funeral industry is not as bad as the wedding industry, but the idea of like what it costs to go, I was like, listen, I don't want anyone speaking prayers. I don't want any of that shit. I want this like, think, what would Practical Doug do? All right. Yeah. Just think about that. And that's how I want to go.
And have that. Yeah. For a long time, I was team burial. Like, I was like, I can't stand the concept of being cremated. My body's not there anymore. And this and that. And then as I've gotten older, I've come around to the rationalization of just like, does it fucking matter if your body's there anymore? Like, you're gone. You're fucking the fuck out of here. You're checked out. Right. So what do we care if we have this body here? And I definitely think, I also love the concept of like spreading the ashes in some place that meant something to the person. Like Beth's mom is some of her ashes are down at Disney because that was such a huge part of their family. And I'm like, I spread me, do an ounce up in Canada, do an ounce out in the, Pacific Northwest, take me a little bit of me down to LA, maybe fly over to Ireland. I always wanted to see there, spread me around the world is what I want. Mm-hmm. I think cremation is the way for me now.
Yeah. I just don't. I also think it's the idea of, if you bury someone in the ground, there's one place where they are where you can visit them, like, and you can argue the same thing with the ashes in some degree too. I'm just like, I don't want this like plot of land, this flag, this headstone. It's like, here lies Doug. Right. He was tall and hit his head a lot and he's resting right here. Like, loved fart jokes, just, I don't know, man. Like that stuff is so archaic and out. It's such a weird thing that we do it because we did it, and it was for traditions that were weird. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that, man. Like, just
I've heard some people saying I'm the same way in that, like, you cremate me and then don't have a funeral, have a party.
Absolutely,
like, take whatever money you were going to spend at a funeral, buy a bunch of pizza or burgers, like, do something real fun, get some beer, get some whatever, throw on some music, and just talk about some memories that you remember. Laugh at my expense and have a good time.
Yeah, I agree. I just, funerals are for the living, not for the dead. So,
Right.
like,
You throw me a funeral, I'm gonna haunt you.
yeah, I was like,
We'll just
don't
say
you
that.
dare put me in a fucking church either. Like, you keep that shit to yourself, all right?
Ooh,
don't want to do that.
right.
Yeah, not at all. Zenny said same mindset, but use my ashes for something useful like plant a tree or turn it into a gemstone. Etoy said, I thought about doing that, becoming a tree thing, but knowing my luck, I would become toilet paper. Yeah. Ashes says Jervis says cremate me, do something cool with the ashes, and make dumb jokes and tell funny stories about me. Exactly.
Yes, exactly, Jared.
Jervis says I heard someone on the radio say she rolled her boyfriend's ashes into a cigarette with tobacco and smoked him.
Don't like that, but okay.
Yeah,
To each their own.
I guess that's weird. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, having these conversations with Natalie is awesome. I love being able to have these conversations with her and see her mind making these connections and having these just great conversations. I don't know, man. This is like I said before, this is where I'm in my heyday with her. Like, I feel like this is where she and I can really connect about a lot of different things. So, which is pretty exciting. So,
I love that.
yeah, I love it too.
And it's only going to get better.
Right.
And then it's going to get worse.
Mhm.
And then it'll get better again.
And then we'll kind of just see from there what happens.
Right. And then we're in uncharted territory. We have no
Exactly.
idea how it will be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that we do know how things
What's
will
that?
be, and that's housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Nothing like, being 20 minutes in to talk about housekeeping. Hey, everybody. Did you know we're on Spotify? We are. You should listen to us there. And anywhere else you listen to your podcasts, like Podbean and Apple Podcasts and Moon. I don't know where you listen to this shit. Yeah, she'll complain about you on her podcast, in her podcast in 20 years. Yeah, I hope that happens. Hopefully she'll let me be a guest. It'd be great. Yeah, check us out wherever you listen to your stuff, but just know that we're on Spotify. Also, if you don't know, we have our very own Discord, which is kind of how we're setting up cool stuff, like our little Mind Gap get-togethers and whatnot. If you're interested in checking it out, head over to twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. In the About section, you'll see a little banner that says Discord. Click on that. It'll magically take you away to Discord, where you'll join our server and become part of the family. It'll be great. We set up game nights. We post funny memes. We post recipes, fitness stuff. It's fun. It's a great community. I love everyone that's there. It's been really wonderful getting to know everyone and getting to play games and stuff with everyone. So please come check us out at our Discord. We welcome you. Next up, redbubble.com. Head over there to check out some merch. I posted a new design on there just the other day. It's it's a spray painted rendition of our traditional logo. So you can go check that out. Just head over to redbubble.com, type in Mind Gap Podcast in the search field, and find the cool shit that's there. We've got the three designs there now. So go check that out. It's fun stuff. Pick yourself up something nice and support the podcast in the meantime. And last but not least, we stream on Twitch. We do our podcasts live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. And we also do a video game live stream every Saturday, typically. Typically.
Oh, my.
Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Time, with scheduling for whatever. Case in point, this weekend probably won't be streaming until Sunday evening because Jill is going out of town for a girls' weekend with a friend.
Nice.
So it's Natalie and Dad hanging out on Friday and Saturday night. We're doing Dad and Natalie night, which is cool.
It's Daddly night.
It's Daddly night. And she said she wants to do Dad Mac, which is a very unhealthy macaroni that I make. And she wants to watch movies. And I think we're going to go to the zoo. She also said we are severely lacking in Halloween decorations. So I was like, all right, let's go to the store. We can pick out some Halloween decorations. So we'll figure something out, which will be fun.
That statement gives me hope that she is going to guilt you into just going to town on Christmas decorations.
No, I won't do Christmas, but I will indulge on some Halloween stuff. Because, again, people around here, they go hard for Halloween.
Yeah.
Big time. And we've just been driving around, and on my walks, I just see him putting more and more and more and more stuff out. And I'm like, Natalie, come check this out. Like those 12-foot tall skeletons and shit. People have this ridiculous stuff. And Natalie loves it. So I'm like, cool. Well, let's go see what we can find and keep it within reason. And we may, because I asked her, I go, do you want something scary? or you want something fun. Like,
Yeah.
you have to decide, but just keep that in mind. Do you want something scary or not? So it'll be fun.
You mark my words.
No.
Your house is going to be a winter wonderland someday.
If it is, I'm not putting it up. I mean, that's fine. I won't be the one decorating. So,
okay.
Which is what I like is Jill knows that. I don't do it. The only thing I do is I help put the tree together. That's it. That's the only thing I do.
All right.
And I'm happy if there's stuff there, but I'm too lazy to do it because I don't like the idea of putting something up that I'm going to have to take down in a month. Practical Doug just does not do well with that.
What about the Halloween shit?
I mean,
how's that different?
I don't know if it's just a handful of things that we just like put out in the yard and then put back away. I don't want to fucking hang stuff around on nails and shit. I don't want to put lights out. I just don't want to do that. I just don't want to do it. It's annoying to me. I'm lazy. I'm a lazy boy. Lazy boy.
I want, we got to figure out how to, I want you and Christmas to become more intertwined because it makes you so angry.
Well, we don't always get what we want, Justin. But yeah, streams, probably this Sunday. Don't know what it'll be. I've been really enjoying this game called Barony. I played it, for the stream, because I streamed last Friday. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. It's got like Minecraft, like graphics, and it's hard. You go into a murder dungeon and, you try to survive. I'm getting a lot better at it. I've gotten to the boss of the game twice, and he was a dick sliver away of dying, just so fucking close. And then the second time, he just lit me up. I thought I was cool, and then he was just like, and I exploded. But it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing with Noah and Slotty too. With like playing with the group was really, really cool. So I don't know. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I may be playing that again. We'll see. And then October the 16th. Oh baby, we're gonna be. Which is oh my god. I don't know if that's the right.
Oh, sorry. Nope, this is the other one. Hold on. Wait. 2 seconds. Hold on.
Sure. October 16th. We're going to be playing the new Jackbox game. Jackbox Party Pack 8. We're going to be trying it out. All new games. It'll be fun. Justin has agreed to be there and hang out with us, so we should be fun. So October 16th, Saturday. Come hang out. A lot of stuff you can either view as audience or participate and have fun. It'll be great. I'm really looking forward to that. So that should be a good time. Yeah.
That would be a good time.
That would be a good time. And that, as they say, is housekeeping. Yeah, see, Ito is like, Jackbox! German's like, Jackbox! Yeah, we're going to have fun.
It's a fan favorite around here.
It's great. I love that stuff just because you get to play. The audience is more engaged. It's so much fun. Is Jill joining?
There it is.
And get a little wine drunk. I could ask her. We'll have to check with Natalie to see if that's okay. Because that's always the challenge. Although, to be honest, Natalie just like kind of hangs out and watches her shows and, you know, has some treats. And Jill reads a book. So, I mean.
When they have girls' night?
Yeah, it really shouldn't be too complicated. I'll ask her. So, we'll see if she'll be down for it.
Cool.
Yeah, that'll be good.
But she's got to get wine drunk.
I know. Trust me, she still has wine. I picked up a couple bottles recently. So, we're still good to go. Cacao! All right, let's talk about our topic for this week, which, first of all, I fucking love just checking in with you and just seeing where the conversation goes. That's the best part of this show. Just, you know,
the opening is usually my favorite part.
Yeah, right. Get her a box of goon. Don't know what that means, Jared. I don't know what that means.
I feel like you can't say that, Jared.
I don't think so.
I don't like that.
I don't think so. You know what else I don't like, Justin?
What's that, Doug?
Motherfucking Instagram.
There it is. You know, I was wondering as we were talking about these topics, I'm like, this is just going to give Doug a platform to rail on Instagram.
Guys, delete Instagram. Just do it. Just do it because you know why? It's not intuitive. It's dumb. No one cares about pictures. Just knock it off. All right?
Stuff is stupid. Stuff is dumb. Doug hates stuff.
I have spoken.
That's it.
I love it, Jared's like, play the song, Justin. Justin was already on it. He was all over it. You got it,
buddy. I got you, buddy.
Yeah. I don't like Instagram.
There's no love lost for Instagram with Doug.
No. I'm not big on sharing my pictures with the whole world. I have a private photo album that I share with my family, pictures of Nat and the family and things like that. And I just don't post a lot online. And I think, you know, especially after the recent events, which is essentially there was a study or there was information allegedly that Facebook had, because Facebook owns Instagram, that stated that a lot of their shit is not good for people, in particular teenage girls. It's been causing a lot of problems as far as the idea of self-image, suicidal tendencies, eating disorders. Like it hasn't been good. Allegedly, Facebook tried to hide that information.
Shocker.
And
in a twisted turn of events, Facebook tried to cover something up.
Right. And apparently there was a whistleblower within Facebook that released the information of the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal did a pretty big investigation on it. Then some heads of Facebook were called to Congress, where Congress did a terrible job of asking them questions, because that's how old white men do it.
Oh,
and
it was so fun to watch.
But the point being that, it's reignited the conversation about social media, its effect on everyone. And one of the things, I was reading some of the, quotes from senators in the article, which are very theatrical. But one that I think kind of stuck with me. Go ahead, Justin. You look like
that was one thing I wanted to touch on was the theatricality behind some of what these senators are saying and how they write up their opening statements or their arguments. Let's get into it, but I want to kind of deconstruct that side of it too after we talk about it. That rubbed me the wrong way, we'll say.
Yeah, I don't like it because by them being that theatrical, it lessens the effect of what they're trying to say.
Right.
And it really annoys me when people fucking do that shit. It's just like, you guys are gross. Stop being gross. Just speak.
Yeah.
They're like, IG stands for Instagram, but it also stands for Instagreed, said Senator Edward Markey. It's like, fuck your shit. That's the best you can come up with? Really? That's like some meme tweet or some shit you'd see on Facebook. Or, it's like people come up with these really dumb acronyms or dumb nicknames for things, and they just constantly use it. I was like, ugh, The other quote that this Blumenthal, what's his actual name here? Something Blumenthal. Blumenthal. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's in here somewhere. But the quote that he goes, this research is a bombshell. It's powerful, gripping, riveting evidence that Facebook knows of the harmful effects of its site on children, and that it has concealed those facts and findings. I think that
while that's true, you're basically creating a log line for a film. That's
the thing is words like bombshell have no effect anymore. Yes. Like they have no effect anymore because people use them all the time. Like, oh, bombshell news report. It's like, it's not. I don't think you guys know what that means anymore, because if everything's a bombshell, nothing is. All right.
Right.
No.
Right.
Is this a big deal? Yeah. But it's just like, can we find a different word? Maybe. I spit all over my mic. You deserve it, baby. You deserve it.
Saying,
you deserve it.
It's powerful, gripping, and riveting evidence.
What is this, a fucking book?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a John Grisham novel now. What is this? You can get across the same sentiment without using the incendiary terms like that, or the terms that are meant to. I know you're trying to prove a point, but when I read that, now I'm going, cool. So you're looking for attention, and it's taking. You may have some very good points you're making, but what you've done now is poison the well for me, because I'm like, cool. So you're trying to do this giant showing and get your 15 minutes of fame on social media. You want your 15-minute or your top of the hour slot on the news shows now. Well, yeah, that's what it just feels like.
It looks like they're trying to be theatrical for the sake of drumming up support or whatever. They're like, we went hard after Facebook and Instagram. We took it right to them. We said, this is not okay. All right, what are you going to do about the Finstas? How are you going to stop them? I was there. I said it, which is just annoying. But
yeah,
because I don't spend much time on Instagram, it doesn't mean much to me. But the more I read about this sort of stuff, it's absolutely harmful. And it's like, obviously it was, I think, what is it? Girls age, I think 11 to 16 was a really rough one. I think it depended on the UK, like 40%. Yeah. In the UK said they had seen images online that made them feel insecure or less confident about themselves. This increases to 50% in girls aged 17 to 21.
Yeah.
And it's like, having a daughter, you know, that sort of stuff really makes me concerned. You know, like for her to have access, because also apparently Instagram was shaping up to roll out it's like 13 and under, like kids, and they've decided to halt on it, which is a good idea for the time being. Some other people, some other activists have called for them just to shut it down altogether, because really they doesn't need to be that. Like, it really doesn't.
No. And
really one of the things that stuck out to me in this is, for all its theatrics, I did think it was kind of relevant, as one of the senators said that, or someone said in the article that Facebook is a lot like big tobacco, and that they know what they're creating and selling is bad, and they're trying to play it off like it's not, and addictive, and they're trying to play it off like it's not, which is very interesting to me, and just reinforces that, makes me happy that I deleted my Facebook and haven't been on it and don't miss it, and reinforces that I'm like, I don't want to be on Instagram. Don't really want to be on any of these things, to be honest with you. Like, it's just it's not that enjoyable. It's more upsetting than anything, just to get a peek into the mind of the average person, and the average person is fucking stupid and annoying and gross, and I'd rather be ignorance is bliss and not know what the average Joe is thinking about any particular topic and weighing in. Like, I don't care. I don't really care. And this was just an upsetting thing to me. It wasn't shocking in a lot of ways, like, based on this information, that this stuff is as it is. It's disappointing that an organization wouldn't take responsibility for what it is. I know it means that they would lose money, but what's the long term? It's easy for me to say that too, right? I'm not beholden to a board or investors, or anything like that. Be like, well, I mean, we're gonna have to take a hit now, guys, but in the long term, being honest is gonna be the way to go. It's like, we're gonna fucking lose money here, Doug. We can't do that. Right. Like, you can't fucking say that.
But again, at what point does a board of investors lose its collective soul? Like, I feel like that's always the thing. It always comes back to someone going, well, you've got the board to think about. They've got a board of investors who need to make more money, always more money, more money, more money. And it never is enough. And that's the again, we've talked ad nauseum on mic and off mic about the concept of capitalism. And I think there are some rudimentary, there's some fundamentals of capitalism that I think are good, but capitalism, unchecked capitalism, like we have now, or what Facebook is exhibiting, this is one of the seedy sides to it, is that doesn't matter, as long as our bottom line isn't affected, I don't care what we do, I don't care how we harm people, because we need to make more money next quarter. It's always about the next quarter profits. And that's, I don't understand why, all these people are humans. All these people have daughters or nieces, or, they're somehow related to, a young woman who's probably affected by this. Like, where did they lose their way? Why are boards of directors always so gross? I guess
it's just also, 2018, Facebook opened up ways to try and combat misinformation, and according to this whistleblower's account, they shut it down in 2020 after the election. Like, they have no interest in dealing with the problem.
And they didn't open that up until they got pressure about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't they weren't doing it like altruistically, like where they were like, we're gonna be good about this. It was only because they were facing backlash that they did that.
Yeah.
And then they shut it down as soon as people stopped, hemming and hawing about it. They were like, cool, has it calmed down? Let's fucking nix this now.
Facebook is one of those organizations that I would be embarrassed to be a part of it. Like, if I was, I had a job there and I knew this stuff was going on, I would be absolutely mortified to say who I worked for,
Yeah.
Like, I would absolutely hate it.
Yeah. And I think back to what we were ragging on the Congress people, the problem that I have with that is that, to your point, this is something that needs to be heard and taken seriously, and language that they're using takes away from that, because, like, as you were saying, it is a big problem. And I 100% agree likening it to nicotine and big tobacco, because it's fucking addictive, man. I have, since Instagram rolled out Reels, I have found myself getting, now there's some good stuff that I found as far as like business tips and things like that, like ways to think about something from entrepreneur accounts and funny stuff that me and Slotty send each other all the time. But I waste so much time. I'll get down a rabbit hole and I'll stop and I'll look up and I'll be like, oh shit, like I've been scrolling for 45 minutes and mindlessly, and I don't even know I'm doing it. And I'm a 38-year-old guy. Like I don't even have an awareness that I got lost in this thing.
Yeah.
So how do you expect a child, like it's so easy to get in there, and it's so easy to hook a person, and if it's twice as easy to hook a child into that kind of stuff. You keep serving them up the content they want to see, and it's
this is still something we don't understand. We've never had
Yes.
this as a species. Like this is such a unusual phenomenon, and you see it at a young age, right? You see kids with a phone or a tablet, at dinner time or at a meal. I was at the zoo a couple months ago and I was watching a kid walk around the zoo with a fucking tablet in his hands. And I was like, who is allowing this to happen? Right? Like,
you're here to be stimulated.
Put
Put that away.
Walking and looking up and
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking, there's animals here, man. Like this is just, it's bonkers to me.
Learn something.
Like I'm not gonna rag on parents because I have a child. We can double team Natalie. All right.
Sure.
It's easy. We don't have to do man-to-man or zone coverage here with our kids. Okay. So
Right.
I understand some of the situations you're like, listen, I'm at my wits end, fucking take this thing and just go entertain yourself for 30 minutes. Sometimes I even do that. Like when I'm cooking dinner and Natalie's like, can I watch TV? I'm like, yeah, I'm cooking dinner, whatever. Go enjoy yourself for 30 minutes. And when we're done, like we'll get off of there. But also sometimes I say, no, I think you're good. Why don't you go draw or do something, like find something else to entertain yourself? And she still does it. So it's, I get that to some degree. Like sometimes you just be like, fucking entertain yourself. Like just,
Yes.
but do that. But it's like screen time is a real concern of mine because of things like this. Like we originally let Natalie get on the iPad and watch, YouTube for kids,
Yeah.
and I don't know, man, there was some weird shit on there. And it wasn't like, it wasn't gross, because it was posts like, whatever
I was gonna say they went through their whole thing too. They're reckoning. Yeah.
But some of the stuff was just weird and bizarre. And I was like, and Natalie got to the point where she's like, can I watch the iPad? Can I watch the iPad? And she was like jonesing for it.
Heroin at scratching for it.
And we were just like, no, we shut it down. And I'm so glad we did that. So now it's like we take the iPad with us on road trips so she can play some games on there or watch movies, but we don't have any of those video apps on there or anything like that. And I want to slowly expose her to those kinds of things because I'm not going to shield her from it because it's impossible to. She will have it.
Right.
But
and I do think that there's an element too that's important for her to be aware of it from just a pure social aspect, because you don't also want her to be that kid that goes to school and be like, I've never heard of any of this, and then she's the social outcast. And there's a line to walk with it where you need her to be aware of pop things in the cultural lexicon or whatever.
Of course, I want her to be aware of it, but I also want to teach her, like, hey, what you're going to see on here is not necessarily real. Okay, this is not how life is. For a very crass comparison, it's like if you watch porn, that's not what sex is. All right, porn for the most part, although nowadays there's a lot of amateur stuff or whatever, but most part when you watch like a professional porn, it's fake. All right,
Wait, what?
There's not. It's kind of a bad way to learn about sex because you start getting turned on to things that you think are real, but they're not. It's not how people do things. People don't get in those positions. Most of those positions are there so that they can film the intercourse in the best way possible.
I don't understand what you're saying, man. None of that lines up to my experiences.
When a man loves a woman and there's money involved, it's one of those things where, just I understood that early on. I was like, this is not what sex is. But I knew kids in my grade who didn't get that, who were shoving 3 fingers in a girl because they thought that's what, uh-oh.
What's wrong?
I think I froze.
Oh, yeah, you did freeze.
Oh, no.
I can hear you, but...
Okay, there we go. Yay.
Nope, you're frozen again.
I'm back, I think. I think I'm back on my
now
end.
you're back.
Yay! But I was saying is like I knew a guy in particular who was like putting 3 fingers in a girl because he saw it on a porn. Like just it's like, dude, that's not how this works. Like that's not okay. Like and being able to, some people have smaller fingers than me. Fair enough, Jared.
Look, man, to each their own.
Yeah, but to do that without asking and just being like, that's also, the guy was just an asshole. But the idea of the perfect body image, right? Like I've heard more. Like it's always been there with women, 100%, and I'm in no way, shape, or form downplaying that. But I've also heard a lot more about it from men, how they've had body dysmorphia because of what they've seen, how they see themselves, how they see other people. Like I go to the gym, humble brag, and when I do, I see some dudes that are jacked, and I'm like, wow, that guy looks awesome. He's in great shape. I see some women that are in great shape. And a part of it can really sink in. I was like, man, I kind of wish I had, some bigger arms or some bigger pecs, or I wish I was lifting that much weight or whatever. Like that stuff can creep in. And I just tell myself I'm in a good spot, self-confidence wise, to be like, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm doing great. Like, I'm doing really well. And if I see someone in there who's overweight, my first thought is like, you're in the right spot, pal. You're in here. You're moving it along. Good for you. I'm proud of you. This is where you should be.
Journey. Yeah.
It's absolutely where it should be. But that stuff exists for men as well. And it's just, you said this a long time ago. You heard a quote that says the internet shows you everyone's, what is it?
You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's sizzle reel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're seeing airbrushed stuff, you're seeing filters put on, you're seeing all of these things, and it's not healthy. It's not the real world. And I can't fathom what it would be like to be a teenage girl who's online following her friends, her idols, the people she looks up to, her role models, and just seeing all this stuff and then comparing herself to that and what that would do to them, to be like, this is someone who sought after. All the kids in my class like this person. This is what they look like. I look nothing like that.
Right.
What is my worth? And they don't have the ability to understand. Hopefully they will. Like, hopefully they'll be mature enough to be like, my worth is not caught up in an Instagram post or the way that I look, but it's a very treacherous minefield to go through.
When we were growing up, that was, I mean, it again, it's always been there from 50s on, it has been there, but it's been in magazines, it's been on TV, it's been in commercials and in movies. And people for a long time have talked about that, like, the beauty industry has set up standards to make women feel less than or to make men feel, but it's mostly targeted at women for sure, or historically has been. But when we were growing up, it's always been there. But what we and our peers had to contend with was magazines, was TV, was things like that. Now it is, and you had to kind of seek that out. Now it is effortlessly in front of your face, and it is endless. It's not just how many magazines are on this magazine rack, or let me flip on one channel on TV and I see this thing. It is just this endless scroll that is effortless to get to, and it's always in front of you. It's always there.
Yeah.
And it never goes away. And so you take that historic, bombardment of these images, and now you just ratchet it up to 11, and that's what that's what these kids are having to deal with nowadays.
Yeah, Itoy and Saudi had some good points here. Itoy says, I don't think it's fair to say it's the company's intent for the algorithms to promote harmful content on purpose. Machine learning algorithms create models based on the data it's fed. If trends suggest harmful posts, it's not an evil design purpose, it's just the product of math. You want to fix the curated content, but people back in charge of identifying the metrics, it's people basically, and not the bots. And then
I would argue that what he's saying is that math is the problem.
You know what?
Is evil.
I think you're right. Math is at it again, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here. And Slotty responded with, the algorithms aren't evil. I think when the company recognizes what the algorithms are doing and what they're serving up and say, well, this helps sell ad space. So even though we have data that says this is having a negative effect on people, we're going to keep doing it. That's the part that makes the actions of the company evil, or at least evil adjacent. And, that's, again, I feel like the tobacco comparison is really apt in the idea that tobacco companies knowing that, hey, your product really affects people and their health and makes them sick. And for you to be like, hey, check out this new commercial. Check out the Marlboro Man. Isn't he cool? Like to the idea of like, well, if we admit this, then we're in trouble as an organization. And that means less money. I mean, that's where, I can't imagine well, let's put ourselves in the situation. What if by creating this podcast, let's imagine theater of the mind that we have an amazing 2 East 8th is exploded. It's this production company. It's doing all this sort of stuff. We have a podcast network, and we realize that everything, a significant portion of what we're creating is causing harm to people.
Sure.
Let's say that whatever we're doing is inspiring violence amongst people. And by them listening there, they feel inspired. And there's research that proves that by us creating our stuff, it's creating harmful effects. People are hurting each other over it. And this is what we want, right? We wanted to quit our day jobs. We want to be creative. We want to be able to build our stuff. And we're huge. We're big. And all of a sudden, we get this knowledge. I mean, I would imagine I would have pause to be like, well, what are we supposed to do? Just shut it down? Right.
Well, I think, yes, I agree. And that, like that, when you put yourself in the situation, it's a lot tougher. And we're also thinking of it in the sense that, in this scenario, at least I'm thinking it's you, me, Drew. Like it's a very small group of people who know each other quite well that we could probably have a very easy conversation and pivot on this. Like now put a whole bunch of strangers in charge of the company. Yeah. I think that's probably, in my mind, that's where I think a lot of the issue comes in, because if it were us that had a podcast network or anything in the scenario that you've built up there, I would think that we would cease production on whatever was harmful and then try to spin up production on something that countered that, and actually that maybe tried to turn the tides back the other way. But if you put a whole group of people, strangers, in charge of it and go, what do you guys think? And they have no real skin in the game other than a bottom line. Like we have creative skin in the game. They would just have dollars invested. And I feel like that's where the issue comes in. Yeah.
I mean, because if we had a company that was 5,000 employees, it wouldn't just be the three of us making decisions, right. Like there would be a lot more complicated things that take place. Yeah. If it was just the three of us, we'd be like, yeah, that sucked. We shouldn't be doing that. We could pivot so much quicker.
Yes.
But the nature of the beast, I mean, this is something that makes an ass load of money. Right. It's ingrained in society, and it's one of those things where it's doing harm and we don't understand it. We still don't understand it. I think 2 decades from now, we still won't understand it. It's weird.
Well, likely not. Yeah.
It's a weird, unnatural thing that we've created and instituted into our lives that people are addicted to. I mean, there was an outage yesterday at the time of recording this, and people were losing their fucking minds. Facebook and Instagram went down. It was just like, I didn't know. I was like, I kept seeing shit on Twitter, which I thought was funny that Twitter was posting about it, because like Twitter's still up. But I was like, who gives a shit? I'm not on either of those, Right. And not only that, it's like, was it really bad for the day, for you to not be on there?
I jumped on Instagram and it kept saying can't connect to network or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I restarted it like 2 times or tried to do something. And then I was like, all right. And I just put it down, which I was happy about, because once I heard about everything that was happening, I breathed a sigh of relief, because I was reading these stories about people who were freaking out and who were like, who either their brand is posting and they're losing money, or they're just so addicted to it. I'm like, thank God I'm addicted, but not to that level. Thank God. Because I can't imagine if my afternoon would have been wrecked because Instagram was down or Facebook was down. That would make me, upon realization of that, I feel like that would make me extremely depressed to learn that I was that addicted to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like what it's done, people have always lusted after fame and lusted after approval. And before this was ever even a concept, people wanted to be known. People have wanted to become famous, and they've looked at celebrity and they've gone, wow, and they've revered them. We've given people now the ability to, if the masses say that you're worthwhile, boom, you're now a celebrity. And everyone is vying for that, and everyone is craving that. When we post something, I'll post it, and then or with Twitter, I get an alert every time someone retweets or likes something, and there's a little part of me that gets excited when I hear that noise, because I'm like, oh, validation for the thing we posted. And I've often have to check myself, and I go, look, put it down, turn notifications off, whatever. Check it this afternoon. When you log in, it'll be great. Like if you've got 20 likes or whatever, how cool will it be to see all 20? You don't need to see them as they come in. That's great. Just put it down. And I have to keep checking myself because, I fully have gotten lost in that. Basically, it's like, what do they call it in video games when you grind? Is it grinding?
Yeah.
When you go for it's basically like you're grinding for likes,
Mhm.
which I don't like that phrasing, but you know what I mean. Yeah, grind for the likes. Let me tell you about like grinding.
Yeah.
It's very similar to jump humping, only it's all virtual, baby. Oh yeah.
Soak for likes.
Soak for likes. But yeah, I think that, like, again, they know, and it's not just Instagram, in fairness, that it, like, TikTok, Facebook, which owns Instagram, but TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, like all of these things, all of them are designed to keep people on for as long as possible. So Instagram, by way of Facebook being probably the worst of all of them, and Instagram by proxy, they're kind of catching it right now. But, like, let's make no mistake, all of these companies are equally as culpable for creating addictive platforms. They all know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Itoy has a good point. He says social media conglomerates need regulation. I'm not a big fan, or I'm not big on government control in the tech industry, but I agree they need to be responsible for how they're manipulating content for audiences, especially when children are involved. And I'm the same way. Like,
yeah.
I get a little nervous with some sort of regulation, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's something we don't understand, and we don't understand its effects. Like, I'd rather have some sort of regulative, body taking a look at it. Now, if you want to argue whether or not the government's the right fit for that, we can have that discussion.
We can have that discussion.
This is the same organization that couldn't get a healthcare website running. So, it is what it is. But I feel like there at least needs to be some sort of action in place to be like, hey, this is happening to a lot of people. You're responsible. You're doing business within our country. We need to sit down and talk about the rules, because right now there aren't rules. And, it's just, I don't know. That stuff just, it makes me more and more nervous. Just, I keep telling myself, oh, Natalie's only 5.
Right.
Soon she'll be older. I see kids walking to school these days. I don't know how old they are. They seem pretty young, and they've got phones. It's like, when should she get a phone? And basically at that point, she's going to have access to the entire internet. And I'm not one. I never did like the idea of, like, you got
to get her a jitterbug, man.
Nice. What is it, like the net nanny or whatever it was, like the thing that you put in that would block certain things or whatever. And I mean, to a certain extent, if she's 8 and has a phone, I would like to put something in place so she's not looking at porn. You can install apps that then you can monitor and shut the phone down remotely from yours, and there's a whole bunch of shit you can do. I really don't want to do that. I don't want to be the mod for her content, but it's like, I want to give her the freedom to explore the world, but with context.
Yes.
Just like I think you and I were talking about, like, watching movies, like on our production meeting last night. I was watching The Matrix, I think, and she walked in. I'm like, go away. Can't come. Dad's watching this movie. And you were like,
go away.
You're like, is The Matrix that bad? I was like, it's an R-rated movie, and there's violence.
I had forgotten about that. Yeah.
There's gunfights. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that it's like she doesn't understand the context for the violence. And that's what I don't want. Because if you just watch people hurting each other and they're shooting guns and machines.
Oh, wait, I got that. I forgot it.
Machines!
Are trying to, eradicate humans, and you don't even understand that what this is. I mean, she's pretty good about saying like, oh, well, this is pretend. But it's still, you don't understand the context for the vehicle of this stuff, of why this is happening. Like, I don't want her to watch it because if she's 8 years old and she understands some of the more complex natures of this stuff, I'm all for it. I'm like, yeah, let's sit down, let's watch something together because I know you can handle it. But if you can't, then it's just like, let's just not do that. You're gonna have the bad repercussions,
Yeah. I was 13 years old, and my friend Jonathan from down the street, we were best friends, and we were 13th birthday, and his parents were like, let's take you guys to see Con Air. And in hindsight, I don't think I was mature enough to handle that movie. At the time, I was like, oh, this is so cool. We're going to fucking see an R-rated movie. This is so cool. And, like Steve Buscemi's a pedophile in that. There's, there people just getting fucking fucked up on a plane, and a lot of swears, a lot of, know, there's a whole mess of stuff in that movie that in hindsight, I'm like, you know what? Some 13-year-olds, maybe. I would argue most, no, they're probably not ready for that.
Well, it's funny because I remember there was a famous issue in my family where my dad was going to take my brother to see Terminator 2. And at the last minute, he decided not to. He had something. He was like, I don't think you're ready for this. And my brother held a grudge against him for a long time about that. He was like, God damn it. Because my brother had a friend who'd go hang out with, and they would watch fucking R-rated action movies all the time. He would tell me, he described the plot of Aliens, like all this stuff, because they would just go and fucking watch it. I'm like, they were not old enough to be watching that shit, but they did. And he was just like kind of in that mode. And he's fine. Everything's okay. But it's like, there's different stages at different times where you can go and watch this stuff, and it will have an effect. When you're that age, you want to see it because it's forbidden. It's forbidden fruit.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh yeah, I want to go see this movie. It's R-rated. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not. It's like getting in, the first time you get into a bar or whatever, and you're underage or whatever, you're like, I'm not supposed to be here. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Or going to the liquor store and you're like, I'm in the liquor party. I'm not supposed to be here. This is so cool.
I remember when I was 16 or 17, and I went and talked my way into buying cigarettes for the first time. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to have these. This is so cool.
Right. Yeah. It's just, and it's cool. It's really not. You look back on it, but it was just the idea, the experience of like, I'm doing something I'm not supposed to.
Absolutely.
And that temptation's always going to be there. And that's why I like that I'm having these conversations with Natalie now. Even the things like, what's a funeral, and why does Doctor Strange keep trying to bring his wife back from the dead? Like, I want to encourage these conversations and having these things so that we can talk about it, so that as this stuff comes up, I'm hoping I have built up enough trust that she'll come talk to me and be curious and ask questions. And I like to think that I haven't been judgmental in my responses, and that I've been pretty just even keeled, so that hopefully she will feel like it's a safe space to ask, because I want her to ask me about porn. Weird thing for a dad to say about his daughter, but I want her to feel comfortable.
Out of context. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I want her to be able to come up and be like, Dad, I saw porn the other day and I feel weird about it. I was like, well, let's talk about it. Like, what did you see? What, whatever. I'm hoping that'll be the case. Probably not, knowing how kids are. Whatever. Who knows? I don't know. I know some kids that supposedly have a pretty open relationship with their parents. Like, I'm hoping that will be the case.
Yeah, you're hoping that you have an open and trusting enough relationship where there's really no topic that's off limits, that you can have an honest and healthy conversation about anything and everything, should she need to process or help process something.
I have an issue with asking questions because I hate feeling stupid. That's a real flaw of mine, is I don't like feeling dumb. So because of that, sometimes I'm hesitant to ask questions or ask for help because I don't want to appear stupid. And I'm trying to, who knows if I'm going to overcorrect with her, but I don't want her to feel dumb when she asks a question.
Right.
So like when she was asking these questions, I really like, that's a really good question. I'm glad you're being curious. Ask some more because I want to be able to answer those questions for you.
Questions are a good thing.
Yes. It means you're curious, and I want to, having that, and that's my goal, is just to be like, if something comes up, or if she finally asks, how come these people are always out in front of this doctor's clinic with these stupid signs about abortion? I'm like, listen, mom and dad don't like these people.
Right.
But this is their right to be able to do this. They think one thing, we think another. This is where they are. I mean, I told you about how she said, Dad, what's that building? Is that a library? I'm like, no, it's a church. What's a church? I'm like, well, kind of, how do I explain religion to a 5-year-old? It's
also through your extreme bias.
And that's why I try to be fair with it. I try to be fair. Like, some people believe things. I go, Mom and Dad don't. It's like, whatever. They have the ability, they have the freedom to think and feel that way. We don't practice that. We don't want to have anything to do with it, but
Natalie,
that's fine
do you
for
like
them.
Spaghetti?
Yeah, right.
You like
the dog?
Monsters? Do you like flying spaghetti monsters?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know.
The one thing I will say, just to kind of put a button on the end of this in social media conversation, is the one thing that I like is that there are some influencers that I've seen posting, typically ones that have more to do with fitness or body image or lifestyle, those kind of influencers. They've been posting live action reels of Instagram versus real life. And so they'll show like, this is what it looks like, when I get out of the gym and I just had a good pump and I'm in the right light and this, and when I'm standing this way, and then they'll move and like they'll relax and they'll show like, look, I have a belly, or my shoulders roll forward, or I have a double, like they'll show, what does it look like when I'm just in my bedroom at home versus when I'm in the gym, fresh pump, good light, I'm sweating, and so I would love to see more influencers take over the platform in that way and try to, that's the one cool thing about I think the communities are in social media, is that sometimes you'll get a good group that's like, cool, we're going to course correct because we like this platform enough to try to turn if the company's not going to intervene, we're going to try to course correct for everyone else. And I think it's cool to watch people come together like that.
I agree. I think that's cool because that's such an important thing. Is, man, you and Drew know this better than most. There's camera tricks, man. Like, there's all sorts of stuff you can do.
Oh yeah.
That'll, I mean, you guys have written blogs on the best way to, have your camera and your setup for Zoom, so you look professional and things like that.
I'm doing none of them right now.
But I mean, it's like, one of those things, like if you have a low angle looking up at you, that's a terrible angle. That's not good for anybody. Like, to be like, hi, it's not a flattering angle. So
absolutely, yeah.
And like you said, lighting, so important.
Is key.
It is so important. I learned that just from my setup, like just getting any lights to start with, to slowly upgrading the lights to be like, oh, wow. And I'm blown away. I did that the other day when Natalie came in here and we just had the camera on with this shitty ring light that's on it. She's like, oh, I go, watch this. We'll do this one step at a time. Turn on these lights. I go, a little better, right? She goes, yeah. I go, check this out. Turn on the purple lights. I go, now let's turn on the lightsaber light. And I go, look at us now on the screen. I go, isn't that amazing how all of these things come together and make you look that much better? It's just, it's very easy to get lost in those sorts of things. And it does make me feel good to hear people are like, hey, look, this is the behind the scenes behind all of this. Like, this is, there's a lot. Like, Chris Hemsworth works his ass off, to take his shirt off in a film. And guess what? Right before he goes on screen, he's doing push-ups. Right. He's doing sit-ups. He's probably got some dumbbells over there. He's walking out there. He didn't just wake up and walk out like, hey, he's probably also been dehydrating himself. He's been, just to get all that water weight off,
Let's be clear. When Chris Hemsworth walks on set, if he were to wake up, he would look better than anyone on set, but he wouldn't look Thor ready.
Yeah. When he's about ready to go on screen, they're spritzing him down with a water bottle. And there's
a lot of magic happening.
There's a lot going on there. And he lives a life of working out, nutrition, and all sorts of things. So like that's what's, it's like anything else. There's a lot that goes into that sort of stuff that a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs. The more information they have, the better. And the better it is, we don't have Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, that's really what the moral of the story is.
There is one thing, though, that if we were to do, and it got mentioned in the chat, if we were to do and it ended up having a negative effect on people, I wouldn't quit it. I would never take it away because it's just too important.
Welcome to the Throwdown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To the point in the show known as the Throwdown.
Oh boy. Oh boy, the council has been added again, and this one is going to be good.
Ooh.
I am excited for this.
Look at this. All right. Wow. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to open these up. And you ready?
I'm ready. This week's Throwdown is Shrek, specifically from Shrek the Third, interesting choice, versus James P. Sully Sullivan from Monsters University. Wait, Monsters University or Monsters Incorporated?
Right.
Because there's a big difference.
You were so specific. Well, they said from Monsters University.
But the link is Monsters Inc. So whatever. I'll go back around. I'll go back around. Because I feel like he's more powerful as an adult, but whatever. Anyway, so
are we switching over to Monsters University?
I guess so, based on what they said. So
cool. Monsters University and Shrek from why Shrek the Third?
I haven't seen that one. So
Shrek original DreamWorks. Katobi Shrek. Okay, I'm just gonna whatever it defaulted to. That's the one.
Katobi Shrek. All right, you want? I'll do Shrek, or do you want to do Sully? Which is really the exact same thing.
That's what you just. Have at it, buddy. Have at Trek.
All right. So his tier is 9B, which at this point we still don't know what that means.
But I like that we use it every time.
Yeah, he's an ogre. He has superhuman physical characteristics. Toon Force. That's a huge.
Again, he could. So
that's huge in his favor.
That's physics breakdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Animaniacs rules.
Stealth mastery. Social influencing. Does he really have stealth mastery? I don't know. Poison manipulation. His farts are infamous for being toxic to the point where they can kill animals. Shrek has stated that Donkey would have died if he smelled it. I feel like he was just being hyperbolic. I don't know if that's actual true. Fragrance manipulation, air manipulation. His farts are powerful enough to put out fires. Oh my god, guys! I whenever I read these, I'm like, someone wrote this out and put links to this. Sound manipulation, enhanced senses.
Someone didn't spend time with their family, so they could write this out.
Yeah. He has fourth wall awareness, so it's funny because they find like these little things that become like canon,
Yeah.
Pain tolerance, resistances, blah blah blah. His farts. God, they keep saying his farts are strong enough to put out fire. We got it. Poison can withstand its own farts. Jesus, guys. Come on.
He ate a fish that was poisoned by his flatulence, and he didn't suffer any. Jesus fucking Christ. All right.
So his attack potency's wall level. He can easily break metal doors, smash wooden structures. He hit a ship with a champagne bottle so hard it ended up sinking. Right. Toon stuff. He successfully outran a dragon, kept up with Donkey, and eventually caught him. Motivated adult donkeys can run up to 40 miles per hour.
Motivated adult donkeys.
All right.
The ones who have good coaches behind them. Like
all right. So he's class 10 lifting strength. He's much stronger than Puss in Boots. Well, that's good to know.
Who could wrestle bulls as a kid? Wait, Puss in Boots wrestled bulls?
Yeah, I guess so. He can uproot trees and pick up large metal gates. His striking strength is wall class. Easily breaks doors, whatever. Durability is wall level. Can survive his own blows. Well, that's good. Stamina,
blow himself and then survive.
Very high. Range, melee, standard equipment, intelligence above average.
Really? Okay.
He's an expert wrestler and defeat a horde of trained armored knights. Yeah, weaknesses. He has a short temper, tends to fool around. All right, whatever. Okay, pretty powerful. Pretty powerful,
All right.
dude. All right, take us through Sully.
All right, James P. Sullivan III. At least tier 9B. There you go. He at this point he's 18 years old in Monsters University. He's middle-aged by Monsters Inc. So again, we've got someone who's 18 going up against someone who's 30 or 40 is what it says. So there's something there. Powers and abilities: superhuman physical characteristics, fear manipulation, enhanced senses, natural weaponry, fourth wall awareness as well, vibration manipulation. Once gave off a roar so massive that it shook a total of 2 scaring simulators. Some degree of martial arts, weapons proficiency, resistance to cold temperatures and snow. He was stranded in the Himalayas for numerous hours and returned to the monster's world with no severe effects. And I was going to make a joke, but it was very not good. Stealth mastery. I think his stealth mastery.
I agree with his.
Far more. Yeah, I would say he definitely could sneak. Attack potency, at least wall level, is strong enough to rip off giant mechanical doors, can rip pipes off the wall, bend them with ease, can twist giant machines off its hinges. Speed, likely superhuman. He's outrun numerous security guards and police officers who are all likely at or around peak level, kept up with a bus. Lifting strength is superhuman. Striking strength, wall class. Durability, wall class. Stamina, high. While working out, Sully shows no signs of fatigue and can run far distances without getting tired. He's got extended melee range, possibly higher with his roar. No equipment. He's above average intelligence, although he's usually slacked around in school and his grade performance wasn't that great. He's a very tactical scarer, though. Adequate workout techniques, decent combatant. Weakness, he's a bit arrogant.
All right, so we've got chat blowing up here.
All right.
Jared and Noah both want to know when these characters break the fourth wall. I think the one with Sully is extremely suspect.
They have a link.
I watched it on. It says Happy Holidays from Monsters Inc. It's from Cinemark, and like Sully and Mike Wazowski are like addressing the crowd from like the ad, which I think is
all right
horseshit. And then Shrek apparently noticed the camera and covered it when he was about to kiss Fiona at the end of the first movie.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's true.
So there is that. Jared makes a good point. Shrek does sneak up on the guys that are hunting him in the first movie in the intro.
Yeah, but we're talking about Shrek the Third here.
Yeah, which
for some reason,
which I haven't seen, and I don't know where it differentiates from anything else on here. But you know, Etoy says Sully can't scare Shrek. Nothing can scare Shrek. I'd say they're pretty fair matched in strength. Shrek poison farts Sully. Match ended. Done. I as much as I want to go with Sully, I think I have to lean towards Shrek on this one because Sully isn't designed to do harm. Whereas as an ogre, Shrek talks about the things that he's done and arguably would have killed and maimed. I mean, he's fought knights, trained knights and dragons and things of that nature. Like he has I think the lethal nature. As an ogre, it sounds like he has been ostracized from society in a way that has given him the kill or be killed mentality. You know, he's a grumpy ogre for a reason because people don't like him and he doesn't like them, and people are genuinely scared of him. And I agree. I don't think Sully's going to scare him. And Sully is, in his heart, a good guy doing a blue-collar job of scaring people. And even when he's in college, it's just like he just wants to be a scare. Like, he's not there to actually do combat. Not to say that he couldn't. He seems pretty decent, but I think Shrek is going to overpower him.
I'll say that I do think that Sully could scare Shrek because Sully is a trained scarer. He specializes in scaring, and he's tactical with it too. So I disagree.
He scares children.
He scares children, and I it's been a while since I've seen the movies, but I do feel like, do they not? I thought they did a whole scare montage where they were scaring a bunch of different entities, like other monsters and adults and like, were they not? Did I make that up? Either way, let me put it that he still is trained to scare.
But no, his whole thing, his whole background was he was trained. He went to Monsters University. He learned in school specifically how to train kids, particularly with different fears. Like if a kid is scared of thunder, they know how to approach the situation to get the absolute most scare of that child to generate that scream to get the energy.
It says right here, powers and abilities, fear manipulation can easily intimidate human, adults, or even other monsters.
In Monsters University, he does scare adults, but I don't know. Do they see him? Maybe they do.
It says even other monsters. It's right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, not that it has any bearing on the fight.
That's true.
I do.
We're getting lost in semantics.
Yes, I do think that he could give Shrek quite a fright. But I agree wholeheartedly. Shrek is a scrapper. He's a bare knuckle forest brawler, and he's put down knights. He's fought dragons. He has had adventures. Sully scares in order to fill up containers with screams and or laughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's really at the end of the day what he does. So
yeah.
While if he's put into a corner, I'm sure Sully could defend himself. He's big. He's got claws.
Sully's civilized.
Strong. But he's civilized. Shrek is just you don't fuck with him, right?
Shrek lives in his own self-made hovel in the swamp.
Right.
Like Sully lives in an air-conditioned building with his best friend, with electricity. Like he lives the good life. Shrek is a guy who's grown to hate humanity and other creatures. And I don't know, man.
Have you seen Snatch?
No.
Okay. Brad Pitt is like a Irish bare knuckle brawler who lives out in the swamp. Like he's just kind of that's Shrek. Like he's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I'll get into a fight. I don't give a shit. And I live in the swamp. I don't care. I travel around. That's what I do.
All right.
Sully has gone to what?
Oh, Noah says that's the movie specific argument. Shrek is a dad and 3 laid back and a bit more domesticated. Okay.
Okay. But at the same time, he's still got that instinct. He knows where he came from. You can take the ogre out of the swamp, but you can't take the swamp out of the ogre.
Yeah, exactly. Jared said Shrek wipes his arse with toilet paper. Sully uses a bidet. Yeah, I think you're right.
Sure. There we go. Either way, Shrek has the history. I don't think Sully has the history to keep up with what Shrek can do. Sully would put up a good fight, but at the end, I think we know who's taking this one.
Yeah, it's Shrek. Can you imagine getting shit out of that fur? No, sir. No, sir, I can't.
Slotty, who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
2 relatively hairy individuals.
It's true. That's why you'd have to use a bidet. You're right. You're absolutely right. Woo! That was a fun one. This was good. Thank you, as always, to the council for putting these together. They're always good. They make us think. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. All right.
I'm just catching up now on some of the ones I didn't see. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got stuff to recommend this week. Justin, what's on your plate? Your platter?
Well, on my platter is a little bit of Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You've probably never heard me talk about it, but it's a very good show, and I think you should watch it on Apple TV Plus. If you're not gonna watch that right away and you're gonna wait, which is totally fair, still watch it. You can watch the documentary Count Me In. It's on Netflix. It is all about drumming.
Ooh.
And they've got some famous drummers, some that you may never heard of, but they just bring a bunch of musicians together and they talk about the history of drumming, how each of them got into it. Some of the more famous ones include Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers. I can't remember his name, but the drummer from Iron Maiden, Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters, and then they've got there's a bunch of them, and a lot of them that I was like, oh, I know the band, don't know the individual person's name, but it's just really cool, and it made me remember that before when I originally got into music, I wanted so badly to be a drummer.
Me too.
I wanted a drum set so fucking bad. And my mom and dad, even though they were divorced, they were like, we don't want to have to deal with drum sets. So they agreed. They came together on something and they were like, let's talk them into guitar because that's a lot easier to turn down. That's a lot easier to store, to travel with. And so by default, I was a guitar player, but I still have that soul of a drummer inside of me. And this spoke to it in a very big way. So it was a fun documentary. It wasn't too long and it was fun. And if you like music, I would say check it out.
That's awesome. That's a really cool recommendation. I'll have to check that out.
What do you got, Dougie?
I'm only halfway through, but I'm really enjoying Squid Game right now. It's the hot new thing on Netflix.
Dude, everyone is talking about this now.
Yeah.
Like the Tonight Show's doing jokes and references about it, and TikTok, like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't like as soon as you started telling me that you were watching it, I started seeing it everywhere.
Well, Noah was raving about it, and I was like, all right. And I watched like the first episode, the second episode, and I'm just like, it's such a compelling show, and it builds tension. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but in a good way, where I'm just like, oh God, what's going to happen? It's such, I don't know, man. The mechanics and the writing are strong. It's shot very well. And I don't know, man. It's a great, I don't want to say much else about it, like as far as plot wise, because I don't know. I didn't know much going in, and I've just very much enjoyed it. Made the mistake of watching like it until, a little bit before we went live, which put me in a weird mental state. So I don't recommend doing anything like that. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I think I'm about halfway through episode 5 or 6 right now. So I think there's only 9 episodes. So I'm deep into it and I'm very much enjoying it. So I would definitely recommend that so far. I'll give you my final verdict once I'm finished, but definitely check that out.
The one thing I want you to tell everyone listening to is what you told me the other night about, because my fear was, I was like, I've seen it. I've seen the Hunger Games. I've seen these type of things. I've
seen Saw
game with, I've seen Saw. I've seen these things, and you assured me it was not that. Yeah.
Essentially, the concept of the show is a bunch of people volunteer to play a game to win a lot of money. The games turn violent. They're not fully aware what it means. So that in the sense is like, oh, cool. Yeah, right. It's Hunger Games. It is so much more than that. It really, they do such a good job with the characters that you're rooting for everyone, and not everyone can win. Like it's just, it can't happen. And it's more of a commentary on life and the nuances. It's a Korean show that is, and I tell you, man, the Koreans fucking know how to make a powerful show, dude. It is so good and so compelling, and there's layers to it like an onion, and
I see what
it's extremely well done. And I don't know, man, I'm a big fan of it, and I can't wait to see how the season ends. And at the same time, I'm sitting there just being like, there's some brutal elements to it, but it's not overly gory, if that makes sense. Yes, there's some blood. Yes, there's some violence, but it's not like, oh, you get to go in the meat grinder. Like, it's just,
it's not Saw. That's what you're saying.
It's not hostile. It's not any of those things that are like the torture porn where it's excessively gross. It is violent. It's unsettling. And there's moments that like the violence actually is key to the environment of, I don't want to give anything away, but like there's violence happening, and it enhances the scene because of what's happening, and you find yourself just being like, oh my god, and it's a good thing. Like it's so good, man. But I recommend it so far. I want to finish it and give it my final verdict, but I'd say definitely check it out right now. I think it's pretty hot and happening. So
boom, there you go. And that's on Netflix for anyone.
Netflix, correct. You know what else is hot and happening? Our social media. Our social media, baby. All our social media.
Go on to social media to follow us now.
Follow us on Twitter. That's all I'm going to say. But if you have to, we are on Instagram and Facebook. We are also on YouTube. We have our own channel there. where we post our full episodes as well as highlights from our shows and our Twitch streams. Please check us out on any of those. Like, follow, all that good stuff. You can email us, mindgappodcast@gmail.com. And please check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/mindgappodcast, where we do our live streams for our podcast Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, and typically our video game streams on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. Although this weekend I will be hopefully streaming on Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So please come hang out. We love having you be here, be part of the show. It just makes everything all the better for it. And Justin exists online as well.
That's right. Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Samsung's new thing, Podbean, all the places. Share, subscribe, rate, review. The big one for us is sharing. Just copy the link and send it out to your people and say, hey, I think you dig this. It goes a long way. Personal recommendations go a very, very long way. And then twoeastates.com/mindgap. And then just keep an eye on all of Two East 8's social stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, this was fun, as always, Justin. Getting to catch up with you is a true joy in my life.
Tuesdays are one of my favorite days of the week, buddy.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. So to that, I say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Twitch, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.